one side of my brain that controls one half of my larynx, and I have the other nerve that goes all the way around my heart and then back up again to the other side of my larynx. And I had no idea that this was a feature of human biology, but it turns out to be. And when this nerve is disrupted, this is the result, speech-wise. So, forgive me, I have no infection at all. It's just a nerve thing, okay? I have a pleural effusion that's compressing my nerve. So, this only happened about a week ago after Sasha and I had organized this talk. So, forgive me for my difficulties.
Would it be possible to share like a 30-second anecdote about that nerve? I can share it later if you like.
No, please.
Okay. So it's sort of like an accident of evolution because it used to be like a straight shot when we were fish. As we stretched out, it's like going around the heart, which makes no sense. And one of Richard Dawkins' favorite experiences was he got the opportunity to dissect a giraffe in a museum. And yeah, he wanted to figure out if it actually was the case in the giraffe where yes, the nerve goes all the way from down around the heart, down all the way around, back up to the voice box in the brain.
Wow.
That's a long.
Supposed to be a giraffe, I guess. So, the purpose of my talk here was, in my language, I would say epistemological. In your language, and I say epistemological because my PhD is in computational science, logic, mathematics, that sort of thing. And as a logician for the past 15 years, I have I have explored the foundations of logic and apprehension as informed by recent results in biophysics. So there's a lot of work going on in the world today around biophysics, biology, biochemistry, and so on. But very little of that work is aimed at basic research. So what I've been doing for 15 years is I've been taking that work and applying it to my domain, which is logic, apprehension, how logic works, how we apprehend the world. So primarily, I begin as a logician, a computational scientist with a speciality in parallel computation, and which takes me into all kinds of locality issues and biophysics. Now, during my work as a computational scientist, it became clear to me that there are things that happen computationally, there are limitations that exist computationally that do not exist in biology, okay? And so that's how I ended up getting here. And so and then I spent a good deal of time with some friends of mine, nice friends, who believe that the earth is flat.
It is
Okay.
amazing.
So, I'm prompted, as a consequence of all this, to talk to you today about how we know and how we can know what we know. Okay? So, in summary, epistemology, but if that's too big a word, then knowledge. Okay? So how do we know what we know? There are obvious ways to know. Like most of them have to do, the obvious ways anyway, have to do with observation. Okay? So we've seen the LIGO experiments. These are good observations, and there's a system of logic that we use to reason about those, that behavior. I should quickly back up and say there's another reason that I wanted to talk today about how we know what we know, and in large part that has to do with a gentleman called John Trump, who rather disturbs people like me by claiming that there are such things as alternate facts. Doesn't make any kind of sense to me, but I want to make sure that as you leave here tonight, that it doesn't make any kind of sense to you either. Okay? So, there's a gentleman, a Greek gentleman, called Euclid, who wrote a book a long time ago called The Elements. And in The Elements, he laid down the first system of knowing that we now today call the scientific method. Now, the scientific method has gone through numerous refinements, and I know for a fact that I at least have one refinement that I'd like to see, but it's a well-established method for knowing things. Okay? And observation seemed the obvious thing, and a gentleman called Auguste Comte basically took that idea and said science is our ability to observe, and what we observe is what we know. Now, a lot of people today still think that that is science. Apparently, several of my friends who believe the earth is flat make the argument as a scientific argument by arguing that all that they observe suggests to them that the earth is flat. So I encourage you not to dismiss out of hand people that say this sort of thing as ridiculous as it may seem to you. Okay? Because in many of these cases, these are very intelligent people. Otherwise, very intelligent. They are the sons. I'll give you examples from people that I've met. They are the sons of Harvard professors. They are the brothers of established scientists. Okay? They come from families that you would not expect to find somebody that was crazy enough to believe in a flat earth. By the way, these same people believe that 9/11 was a conspiracy run by our government and so on. And of course, sorry?
Never landed on the moon either.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, and of course.
So,
Don't dismiss them out of hand.
yeah, don't dismiss those individuals out of hand because they are going through what is an epistemic crisis. It's a genuine existential crisis and they need help. And we should be looking at these people, these individuals, as people that need help understanding the ways as well. If we do not have that point of view, then they're going to go through life completely misunderstanding everything and happily being governed by people like Donald J. Trump. Okay? So how do we know what we know? And how do I know that what any of the presentations that are given here tonight, and from your point of view, including mine, has any merit whatsoever? And this is a subject that's important to me because in this 15 years of basic research, I have developed new ideas and I am trying to communicate those ideas to my fellow scientists, and they have a problem with those ideas. And the reason they have a problem with those ideas mostly has to do with intellectual investments. They become attached to the rightness, their commitment to a particular scientific point of view that, in essence, forbids them from looking seriously at new ideas. Now, so new ideas have become something of a pet subject for me, and new ideas are actually very, very hard. Truly, new ideas are very difficult to get out into the world. Okay? Now, I'm not going to bore you with, in this talk with my new ideas. I'm simply going to try to persuade you that you need to look at the world more objectively. Okay? So, Euclid, let's get back to our Greek friends, Euclid came up with a system that truths. So it turns out that actually this isn't good enough. This group of premises upon which we base our ideas. Because they can be, a premise can be completely arbitrary. There's nothing to stop anyone inventing a premise and saying, this is true. You need something more. Okay? Now, I will argue, and have been arguing for some years, that there needs to be underlying any given set of premises, there needs to be an underlying structure. Okay? So if it's, it has to be something very simple, like a sphere, circle, whatever, but there has to be some underlying structure, and then premises are bound together when they are concerning that structure. Okay? But that another technical issue I just want to highlight, because I want to show that despite arguing for science, there remains pieces of work for scientists to do. Okay?
Could you just go a little bit deeper, real quick, on the way that the idea that you have on structure? Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm a structuralist.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So, what I mean, for example, in my cosmology, by the way, is only designed to show how biophysics, sensation, and the mind can be fitted into the physical sciences as a whole. Okay? So I don't proclaim it's grand theory.
Sure.
Yes, okay?
Yeah.
So, for example, in that theory, the basis of that model of cosmology is a sphere. The simplest structure is a sphere, and it's composed of what Maxwell would have called light. Okay? So if you look at a graph of frequency, okay, wavelength divided by frequency or something like that, you always get the speed of light, okay? And that the speed of light is a constant. So in every physical equation, you have C. Almost every single physical equation that exists has the number C in it somewhere, okay? Which means to me that C equals 1, okay? And it represents the basic structure of the universe. Okay? It's my argument. Is that far enough? Or do you need me to go a little further? So, so I can have now premises that I apply to that structure. Okay? One premise is that there's this thing called gravitation, okay? And gravitation creates a pressure in the sphere. Now the sphere, remember, is immeasurable. It can't be measured. It's finite, but it's eternal. Okay? Which leads to, in pure mathematics, leads to a definition of infinity. That is, that says infinity is not a number, it's a process, an operation. So one premise is that there is a pressure within the sphere, and that pressure creates a curvature of the structure. That curvature is gravitation, and so gravitation, independent of there being any mass, any matter, is simply reconstructed on its own. This is an ideal, purely mathematical premise, right? Because there's only one premise right now, right? So that curvature is what we call gravitation. Now, because the different sides of curvature come together slightly different speeds, different different degrees of curvature, then that curvature causes a spin, causes what I will call eventually supermassive black holes. So we start with gravitation, end up with supermassive black holes. You get gamma rays, in bursts. The gamma rays cool, they form clouds of nebula, and stars are formed. It's a different cosmology, but it causes the formation of stars, and that cooling we see in the images from Chandra, for example, where there we see the gamma rays cooling into X-rays, okay? Say in supermassive black holes. So that forms nebula, planetary systems, eventually planets like this one, where we find flexible, closed structures forming. Flexible, closed structures are cells and membranes. Those cells and membranes are the subject of biology. Okay. So this is a scientific picture to show you how biology can be included in the physical sciences. Okay? Now, I'm not arguing that that's the correct model. There are way too many questions that need to be answered. Okay? But it's a reasonable case to make. Okay? So what you've seen there is an underlying structure and premises laid upon the structure. Okay? So that's the difference between normal scientific method that would not include the underlying structure. Does that answer your question? So there are definitely improvements that can be made to the scientific method, but it's still the best method humanity has for to be able to know that what you're saying to me has merit. By which I mean, it has some power of truth. There's something that you know, that I know, that I can say is true. Okay? It's not okay for me to say, well, for example, I'll give you a good example. It's not okay for me to say that the universe began with a big magical bang. Not okay. Yeah? That's science. And it's not okay to accept the Big Bang theory without challenging that idea. Because it is not only incomplete, it doesn't work from a scientific point of view. Now, there are a variety of scientists that will have different arguments for example, why the universe continuously goes boom, collapses, and then goes boom again. But, you know, none of them are going to live long enough to see any evidence of that.
As far as we know.
As far as I know, I'm going to try to do that.
You're gonna live longer.
That's my hope. Okay, so we have premises, and then we make inferences based on those premises. Okay? We make these assumptions about what is self-evident, what is obviously true to all of us, right? Because if it's true to me, the scientist will say, it has to be true to you too. It can't not be true to you and be true to me. That's not the nature of truth. Okay?
Truth is singular.
Hmm?
Truth is singular.
Yeah. So I get very concerned when I talk to in particular, my mathematical friends, Mark, Take Mark, and people like that, who will argue that everything that's mathematical explains something in the world. That's nonsense. Okay? That can't be true. But I do believe that whatever is true, including sensation and the mind, can be described mathematically, which is a very different position to take. Okay? Yeah?
I've asked this question to several mathematicians, including Sir Penrose, Roger Penrose. I said, why does mathematics explain our universe so well? What is it about mathematics that is sort of the universal language to understand the universe? And I've gotten answers that range from because it's beautiful to because it's useful.
Well,
What is your take?
I've spoken to Roger
Yeah,
at length.
he's a Platonic, you know.
Yes, I know.
You know.
family of Quakers,
Oh.
so he has a
Uh-huh.
particular inclination.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a problem
Yeah.
that people.
Yes. Now, a comment about the people, the educated people that you say deny the earth is flat, and get rid of those people. Come on, they're delusional. That's mental illness. It's
No, that's
Well,
not.
that's
climate change
How is that-
deniers.
How is that mental illness?
Don't pay attention to those people
How is that mental illness? That's a different
Because-
choice in terms of what information sources you trust.
they
That's not mental
they hold
illness.
they
That's
hold a
a good
view that is counter to the evidence.
so.
So
So-
one source of authority says this is true about the world. Another source of authority says
Look,
this is true about the world.
Schizophrenics have a very
You and I have the
sophisticated
same source
description
of truth, but like you
of,
really can't
of
dismiss
their
them as
reality.
mentally ill.
And if you ever sat down and had a conversation with a schizophrenic, you'd come to the conclusion that, wow, they live in a different alternate reality.
Yeah, but
I've had those
That's,
conversations.
you're not, you're
Yeah,
not
they live in
finding
our
the same
reality.
thing. I've also had conversations with schizophrenics, and their maps are not matching the territory.
Right. So the same for these people
Wow.
that deny that the earth, is round.
No, it's whose map you receive.
What is that?
You receive a map that's written by a fantasy author, or you receive a map that's written by a cartographer. You, as the receiver, don't necessarily know who's
No,
the
but
cartographer.
why do
and
these
who's
people
the...
come to those conclusions?
Anyway, sorry.
Explain
I
that
don't
to
mean
me.
to steal your talk.
that's fine.
Yeah,
So there is
Oh, that's a good point.
those people are dangerous.
a problem
You have the same source of truth. I understand what you're saying.
that comes from the birth of the internet. So I'll just say a few words about that and then wrap up. Okay. So the internet has brought with it a major problem because it undermines the basis, the consensus, the basis for consensus, the ability for us to be able to understand that a doctor in a certain specialist area, certain specialty, is indeed an authority in that area of specialty, and that they are likely to know more than a 15-year-old editor of Wikipedia. Okay?
Right.
So,
Or YouTube.
yeah, so that's, I'm gonna rest there. If there are any questions, I'll be happy to take them.
Thank you, Stephen.
Good question.